Hey there, welcome to Meet Edgar office hours. So it does look like there's just a couple of you on right now. We did have about 6 people register for this time slot, so I'm gonna maybe give it about 1 or 2 minutes here before we jump into the demo, but we're really excited to be presenting office hours to the Meet Edgar community now, but not only to make sure that we are setting you guys up for success, that you get all your questions answered in live real time with us, but also to create a little bit of community here. So I'd love to know who's here. We do have a chat over on the right side of your screen. If you guys want to pop in, let me know where you're tuning in from. Let me know kind of what business you're in, all of that fun stuff. We'll get started in a couple of minutes here. My colleague Sarah is actually going to be on the chat as well. So when we go into the demo part and when we're getting your questions answered, I'm going to share my screen a little bit and we're going to go over all of that stuff. So she'll get your questions answered. So that chat you see Sarah popping in there now is where you can put any questions during the time that we're doing this demo on here, and she'll get those answered. If I don't see them right away, definitely make sure you pop back in there and ask them at any point in time. If your question isn't quite answered, let us know. We can always follow up. You can email support@meetedgar.com. You can reach out to us on Twitter. You can DM us on Instagram. Our handle is @meetedgar. We'd love to connect with you guys after the demo as well. But like I said, go ahead and pop into the chat. Let me know where you are tuning in from. I didn't see that we had any pre-submitted questions for this today, so I'd also love to know kind of what you guys are interested in learning about. I'm going to pop in and do like a 15-minute general setup demo. If you guys are new to this, this is going to be a great way to kind of get in and get you to your first win, get Edgar automating those posts for you so you can get on with the more important parts of your business and the more exciting parts of creating your content and serving your community, engaging with them. But after that, we'll do some Q&A. So please, please, please let us know what you're interested in. If you are here just to get a question answered after the demo part, you can pop back in. Like I said, this will take about 15 minutes of a setup process, and then we'll do some Q&A. So guys, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. Like I said, as I'm sharing my screen with you guys and as I'm in the Edgar app, I won't see the chat, but Sarah here, who is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to Meet Edgar and how to use it, will be answering all your questions. So make sure you let us know what's going on as we go throughout this. But guys, when you log into an Edgar account, your very first step is going to be to start to hook up your social media accounts. So let me make this a little bigger so you guys can see it here. So when you first log on, come to your accounts tab here. And this is where you're going to connect your profiles that you'd like Edgar to post to. Super simple. You'll just scroll down and click on the rectangle of your choice here. Edgar will grab the username and password from you, and he'll hook those up. You do have to have a personal profile that's an admin of any groups or pages you're trying to add connected for both LinkedIn and for Facebook. Facebook's terms of service says you can't actually post to a personal profile through a third-party app. So that's why this is going to be a little grayed out, but we do need it there just to make sure you're an admin in order to go ahead and post to any of your groups and pages. So once you get all of the profiles that you'd like Edgar to post to hooked up in your accounts tab, you're going to pop on over to this categories tab. So the categories in Edgar are truly where the power comes into play of serving your community not only consistently with content, but with a variety of different content, because no one wants to follow a profile that is just status update of promotion after promotion or link after link. They want to get to know the whole of your brand, the whole view of who you are, your behind the scenes, your witty sort of musings, entertaining aspects, anything on social media that's educational, entertaining, value adding is truly going to be the gold when it comes to attracting and keeping followers on your pages. So these categories, when you log in, there'll be some predetermined ones, and these are just based upon what Edgar knows works well for posting. However, we want to make sure you customize them for the pillars of content, the buckets of content that you know really resonate with your followers. So when you come to the categories tab, if you'd like to rename any of the categories that you have in your Edgar account, just click on this pencil icon and go ahead and rename them to something that matches your brand. Or you can create your own categories with this add new category button right here, and you can name it anything that you like. Some flexibility comes into play with these categories, but the true power is gonna really be noticed when we look at the schedule here in a minute. So once you set up your categories, your next step is going to be to add your content to Edgar. So there's a couple ways to do this. First, manually, is to click on this Add New Content button right up here. This is going to be our composer screen, so where you're actually composing your status updates. The first thing you're going to do is check off the accounts you would like this status update to have permission to go to. So every time you add a piece of content to Edgar, you need to have it connected to the accounts that it's allowed to go to. If something over here is not checked off, then Edgar will never post it there. So a really great way to separate out brands, to separate out network messaging, if that's something you do. The category is then going to be the next thing you'll select, and these are being pulled from those categories you just set up here. So this is telling Edgar the type of post that you're putting in here. And then you're going to go ahead and write your status update in this text box here. Guys, if you do have a link in here at all, you can always know that Edgar will be sending like a Facebook link preview by this little gray box that pops up down here. And if you're ever curious about what this is going to look like, just pop on over to the preview tab and that'll show you the preview that will be established. If you wanted to see if Twitter cards are installed on the site, you can use this drop-down menu to make sure you know what it's going to look like once it's sent out. If you do want to go ahead and add your own image rather than have it as a link preview, you can X out of this box here and you can add a video or you can add a photo from your computer with these two icons right down here in the lower left corner. MeetEdgar also has an image scraper. So if you have a URL in here, you'll notice he'll have some images that are being pulled from that blog post or landing page that you place in here. And if you click add on this, it'll go ahead and add it as a static image to send out. So a lot of ways to make sure that you're crafting the content in the exact way that you want. So guys, once you're happy with how your status update looks, you're going to click on this Save to Library button. So the library is essentially a catalog of all of your posts in Edgar. Everything you add to the library will always remain in here. It's a great place to make sure that you always are putting that all-important work into your status updates and know they're not going to get lost into the ethers of the internet. They'll always live in your library, and you can sort it to find posts with these filters on the left, or you can search by keywords from this search bar right up top here. Another thing in the library is our bulk edit tool. So if you click bulk edit in the library, this is going to go ahead and bring you to a screen where you can do things like change content categories or add or remove account connections in one swoop. So remember, we said when you're adding content, you always need to make sure you have your accounts connected to it. So this is really great. Say if you're like, oh my gosh, I forgot to add my Twitter account to all of the posts in my blog category. Just come to bulk edit, sort it by that category, and you can add or remove account connections from these upper level social icons here. So you'll click on the posts you want, add or remove the account connections with these upper level icons, scroll down and click on update selected. So everything is going to always live in your library, but nothing's going to send out until we tell Edgar when. And that's going to be on the schedule. So this is where that awesome set it and forget it comes into play, so you can start showing up consistently and start showing your followers how much you care about connecting with them on a regular basis. So you'll notice it's a 1 week view. However, this week repeats over and over again, so you do only have to set it up once. Super simple. You'll just locate where you would like a post to go out. So say I would like a post to go out Mondays at 8 a.m. I'm just going to click into that area on the time slot, and the details here will be popping up for me to input. Similar to when I'm adding content, I'm going to go ahead and tell Edgar which accounts this time slot has permission to send out to. So remember, when you add content and schedule it, you always have to mark the proper account permissions here. You can always alter the day and time up here if you'd like. And then you're going to select the category, so the type of post that you want to go out at this time, and you're going to click on save. So that will now be a time slot on your schedule. How these time slots are actually working with the library is what we call a last in, first out order. So what this means is Edgar's going to be coming along here, and he'll go ahead and he'll hit this time slot. The most recent update you added to this category in the library will be the first update to send out when Edgar reaches that time slot. He'll then put it to the end of the line in that category and move along. Next time he hits that time slot, he'll send the next update out. put it to the end of the line in the category, move along, and he's going to work his way through all of the content in that category. Once he reaches the bottom and there's no new content to post in that category, that's when he'll start from the top again, resurfacing your older content for your new followers to see, as well as those who didn't have the opportunity to see it the first time. So this is really going to be depending upon the ratio of how many posts you have in a category in your library versus how many times you place that category on your schedule to know how often Edgar is going to recycle through your content. So let's do some easy math here to make this a little more clear. And let's say you added 10 posts to your other people's content category in the library. You come into your schedule and you place that category on your schedule once. You'll know it'll be 10 weeks before Edgar recycles through your content. If you place it on your schedule twice, you'll know it'll be 5 weeks before Edgar recycles through your content. If you're continuously adding new content, Edgar will always favor that new content before he posts the old content. So always remembering it's last in, first out, and it's going to be a rotation. And guys, if you're not familiar with this evergreen rotation concept here, it's such a truly powerful tool to use to be able to drive more traffic to your site and get the most out of your updates, because you're writing them once, but promoting them multiple times. And we always suggest cross-promoting them to amplify your content. So not only posting them to just one network, but building a community across this omni-channel approach. So having that presence on Twitter, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, so that all the hard work you're putting in here can go out to each network. The connection between the content being pulled from the library based on these time slots on the schedule is going to be in this Q tab here. So the Q tab in Edgar is going to be showing you a 2-week view of the posts that are being pulled from the library based on your time slots. You'll notice it'll show you a date. It'll show you the posts being sent out here. Similar to the library, you can always sort it with these drop-down menus over here. You can always skip a post with this little fast forward button up in the upper right corner. If you skip a post, it goes to the end of the line in that category and pulls in the next post. If you pause your queue with this little pause button right at the top here, Edgar will go ahead and stop all the automation. Once you unpause the queue, he'll go ahead and start it again. So if you wanted to keep your queue paused as you're getting set up, totally fine. So guys, this is the true power of Edgar right here, is being able to load your evergreen content, that stuff that's going to add value for your followers no matter what time of year it is. Schedule those weekly repeating time slots so that you give your followers that consistency and you were really showing up for them on a regular basis, and that you're making sure that people who are consuming your content on each network have the ability to do so where they choose. So amplifying your content across each network. And you can get started with as little as 10 posts in each of your categories and place those categories on your schedule twice. And you know you have a month's worth of fresh content. So I always suggest to get to your first win fastest, to get the most out of Edgar right away, is coming in here, adding 10 posts to each category you establish, putting that category on your schedule twice, and then that frees up your time for the rest of the month to come in and engage with your community, to come in and actually create more really valuable content and get it out to your followers. So as you're going through this, there are a couple of other things in Edgar that can be utilized in order to make it a little more flexible for things like holiday posts, for things like importing your RSS feeds and all that fun stuff. But if you're new, I really want to focus on not overcomplicating the initial setup. And that's how you're going to get the most out of Edgar, the most bang for your buck right away. So I don't see any questions in the chat right now. Please, guys, make sure you're asking them if anything is unclear at all. We truly want to make sure we're setting you up for success. But I'm going to go into a couple of other kind of tips and tricks and advanced features in Edgar now as well. But remember, as you're getting started, it truly is about loading your content and getting your scheduled time slots set up first and foremost. So I did mention there are a couple of other ways you can add content to your library. So remember, when we do it manually, we're adding one post at a time here. And this is great for adding your visuals, like your photos, your videos, your links, stuff like that. But one of the coolest things about Edgar is driving more traffic to your website can be done in a really automated way through this import tab. So this import tab here will allow you to connect an RSS feed. And what an RSS feed is something that's going to automate getting your blog posts into Edgar's library for you. So it's super simple. You're going to locate your blog's URL, and you can do this with your blog, or if you like to curate other people's content to make sure that you're showing your followers how much value you're adding to them and how much you care about giving them that information no matter where it comes from. You can add as many RSS feeds as you want, but I definitely recommend if you have a blog, for sure add it in here. So you're going to locate your blog's URL. You're going to go ahead and place it into this box here. So if I wanted to share all MeetEdgar's blog posts, I'm just going to put our blog URL in here and click on Find RSS Feed. This is going to pop up and say, great, there's an RSS feed attached. What category would you like these blog posts to be put into? So I'm going to select the category. Which accounts, again, remember, every post has to have connections to the accounts. Would you like this to have permission to go out to here? And then you have a couple of other choices. You can send these directly to your library. So awesome for your own blog, stuff that you know is going to add value and you know you want to go out. And these will go right into the category you place it into. And these posts will go out the next time that category is on the schedule. Or if this is other people's content, or if you want the ability to customize the status update before it goes into your library, you can do this pending content queue option right here. So if you add it to a pending queue, I'll show you what that looks like in the library. But essentially, it allows for an approval process. And what happens when you add an RSS feed is Edgar will go ahead and import any past posts that are attached to this feed. Typically on most modern blogs, it's going to be about 10 to 25. And then every 24 hours, Edgar checks these feeds to see if a new post has been released in that time frame. And if it has, Edgar will automatically import that post either to your library or to your pending content queue. So you don't have to go out and check your favorite blogs every day to see if there's a new post to add value. Edgar will do that for you. So if you send things to pending, so you can see here in the Edgar account, we send all of our curated content to our pending queue so we can add a little personalization and make sure we're approving articles that are truly going to speak to our audience. So the workflow we take here is in the library, you'll notice this little 23 number is going to be above this pending content section. And this is letting me know that I have 23 articles I need to approve. So when I come to the pending content section here, nothing here is going to send out until I approve it. If I find that it's not going to add value, I can reject it. Or I can click this edit button here, and this will allow me to do things like add a little personalization, add a different question about it, do things that are really going to spark a lot more excitement than just the headline of the article. Because remember, when it comes down to it, people buy from people on social media. They want to know who you are. They don't want to just look at a computer screen. They want to know that someone is behind that screen. So make sure if you have the time, come in here, personalize these, and then you can approve them into the library. So that's an awesome way to go ahead and automate getting posts into Edgar. The other thing you can do in the import tab is upload a spreadsheet of content. So if you guys have a lot of tips or quotes or blog posts on a spreadsheet already, super simple setup process. This hyperlink right here will take you to an example spreadsheet. But the process is your first column in the spreadsheet will be the status update, so what you would like it to say. The second column is going to go ahead and be the category that you'd like it to go into. Upon importing the spreadsheet, Edgar will prompt you for the account connections, and that's a great way to get a bunch of posts into your library. One other way to actually get content into the MeetEdgar library is our extension. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up a MeetEdgar blog post here, but this could be you out online at any time saying, you know what, cool, I found this article that would be awesome to share out to my community. Rather than having to copy and paste this link, you can use the MeetEdgar extension, and you can see that in my toolbar right up here, the little cute Edgar icon. If I click on this Edgar icon, this pops up here where I'm able to add this post right from this screen. So again, you're going to check off the accounts you'd like it to go out to, select the category you'd like it to go into, and you can save it to your library. You can see what it populates as the title of the blog post as well as the URL here. Another thing a lot of people like to use this extension for is our Send Now feature. So next to the Save to Library button, you'll notice you have this drop down that says Send Now and Save. So if you click on the Send Now and Save option, what happens is Edgar will send this post 1 minute after you click this, and then he'll save it to your library. So what a lot of people like to do is if this is a trending article or something that you want to get out and blast out to all of your networks at once, but you don't want to spend the time logging into each and every social network, if you go ahead and click Send Now and Save, it'll go ahead and send it to all of these at once. And if this is something you would like to keep in the rotation, you're all set. That article will send a minute after you click that, then go to the end of the line in the category and go back in the last in, first out rotation based on your schedule. Or under this advanced settings drop-down menu right here, if this is a timely trending article that you want to send now once, but then not have it go out again, you can mark it as a use once post, meaning Edgar will automatically expire it once he sends it out. All right, guys, so those are the ways you can add content to the library. So again, manually add new content, import your RSS feeds, the spreadsheet, and the extension. And I'll go ahead and put the link where you can get that extension if you'd like into the section here in Edgar. Let me go ahead and find that for you. It looks like we have a few questions, so I'm just going to pop in here real quick before we go into other advanced scheduling features. That's where you can get that extension if you guys would like to grab it. So it looks like with the RSS feeds, cool. So yeah, the pending content section is really fantastic for RSS feeds, but if you need other approval features, Sarah did go ahead and share that help article that describes how you set up a holding category, but I'm going to go ahead and show you real quick here because it is, again, thinking about the ways that Edgar's schedule is set up. If you have a category, but it's not on your schedule, remember those posts can live in the library but not send out. So what Sarah sent to you in that article is talking about is coming to your categories tab here and clicking on this Add New Category button. If you're creating a draft or approval or holding category, you're going to want to make sure you uncheck this box that says Include when selecting random content to post. MeetEdgar's weekly repeating schedule does have an option to create time slots that are random, which means Edgar will pull from any category regardless of that category. Regardless of the category, he'll pull a post in. So if you use random time slots, and even if you don't, just uncheck this if you're creating a holding category. Go ahead and call it like holding or anything that makes sense for the approval process and save that category. Then when you're adding content to Edgar, make sure you select the holding or drafts category in the category drop-down menu here and go ahead and write the status update. All of those posts will live in your library in the holding category. You can then come in, whoever's in charge of the approval process, and you can sort the library by that holding category over here in these filters. You can then go through, you can click on edit if you needed to make any changes to the posts, and then you can go ahead and recategorize them into a category that's live on your schedule, and that will put them in the rotation of your posts. If you are doing a holding category and they all look good and you don't want to go in one by one and recategorize them, that bulk edit we looked at the beginning is a great option too, because you can come in here, click bulk edit, go ahead and use the filters on the left to sort it by your holding category over here. Go ahead and use this upper level category drop-down menu that you see. So if this was my holding category, I'm then going to use this to go ahead and change those to a category that's live on my schedule and click on Update Selected. That workflow is also something that I like to point out for like holiday posts. So if you run like a promotion that's strictly all summer, but it's not a promotion for fall, spring, or winter, you can create a category called like summer posts. Or if you're running like a Black Friday deal and you just want that evergreen rotation of all your Black Friday posts to go out, you can create a holiday specific category too. So you could call it, again, summer posts. Make sure you just uncheck that random time slot, add your content to that category. You can spend time doing this at any time of year. Those posts will live in your library. but not send out until you pop that category onto your schedule. So once summer rolls around, or once that Black Friday promotion rolls around, come to your schedule here and you can go ahead and add your post. So you can see we did this with Valentine's Day recently. So you can see this Valentine's Day category could be something I add here, save it to my library, and I'm gonna know that these posts will go out as long as this is on my schedule here. Once that promotion or once that season is over, just come back here, go ahead and delete all the time slots associated with that seasonal category, and those posts will live in your library until the next season, so you don't have to spend time recreating them. So a lot of flexibility in that aspect. There's a couple of other really important things I'd like to go over real quick as well. I'll pop back in and get any other questions answered in a second here. But there's two other things that are kind of important to know about Edgar. One of them is Edgar and Twitter. If you are active on Twitter, you know that last March they did make an update to their term of service that says you can't send the same tweet to the same Twitter account more than once anymore. I know, a little annoying, but in the spirit of why they did it, it's truly awesome because they wanted to create a really great, vibrant, authentic community who is going to be speaking and engaging with each other. So for this reason, Edgar built some tools to help you guys still reshare your evergreen content, and that's our variations feature. So this feature was specifically built for Twitter to allow you to reshare your links on Twitter, but it can be used for any network. So if you attach a post that has variations to all of your networks, those variations will still work. And again, it's a great way not only to A/B test your messaging and to get a little variety out there, but it also allows you to reshare links on Twitter. So how you're going to use this is go ahead and check off the accounts you'd like a post to go out to. Go ahead and write your status update in this area. So again, if we have something like a blog post, I'll take that same Edgar blog post here and add it into my content. Oops, that's not the link I wanted. And add it in to my content here. So this post can share once to Twitter, and then Edgar has everything set up to automatically expire it. Once he expires it, it can't send out to Twitter again, but it'll still be in the rotation for your other posts if it has multiple ones attached. But if you'd like to go ahead and resurface this for Twitter, what you're going to do is use our variations feature. So put the link in here, and you can see two options. You can manually add a variation. So if I click to manually add a variation, the second text box pops up where I'm able to alter the language I'm using to introduce this link, whether I'm using a different headline, whether I'm asking a different question, sharing a different thought leadership concept or opinion about that link here. And it's a great way to make sure that you're still driving traffic to that link, but staying in line with those terms of service. So these variations are not going to go out back to back. Edgar will post these variations on the last in, first out schedule, depending upon when the category you set comes up. So when Edgar hits that category on the schedule, one variation will go out that will then have to retire for Twitter. This whole post will be put to the end of the line in your rotation. The next time this post comes up, Edgar will send the second variation. It'll then be expired for Twitter, and the whole post will be put to the end of the line in the category. So the only way variations would go out back to back is if you only had one post in that category. The coolest thing about variations, though, that I think Edgar does is auto-generates them. So if you're making variations with links in them, you'll notice you can click on this auto-generate variations here. If I auto-generate variations, you can see Edgar's going to get some pull quotes from within that article, and he's automatically going to add them to 5 different variations for you. So it's an awesome time saver, guys. So I would definitely suggest, as you're getting set up, if you are posting to Twitter, taking the time to add in a bunch of variations so that, again, you can get that good set it and forget it. If you're adding them in manually, guys, if you do have manual variations being added, make sure you put the link in every single variation you add. If you're auto-generating it, Edgar does go ahead and put the link in there for you. Again, these will be cycled through for Facebook, LinkedIn, anything like that as well, but this was specifically built for Twitter. We do email you when you're getting low on variations in a certain category, but one workflow I really like to suggest is when you come to the library here, these filters on the left will allow you to go ahead and see which posts you need to add more variations to. So you can come in here and sort it by a Twitter account or sort it by Twitter in general if you have multiple accounts. You can then use this last filter that says has publishable variations. And if you select no, Edgar will go ahead and sort your library to show you all of the posts that are completely expired for Twitter. And if we wanted to use this again, all you have to do is come in here, click edit, and add in another variation. And that way it can go ahead and still be in the rotation of your posts. So hopefully that is something you will get a ton of use out of, so you can get a leg up on the game who's getting out there and staying in line and staying organized using variations in Edgar. One other advanced scheduling feature that I'd love to point out is our use once as well as our schedule, send, and save feature. So when we were looking before at the extension, when we went ahead and had our post from that blog post up and we looked at the send now and save, if you noticed at all, there was one other option there. So when you're adding your updates here, can't spell today, updates, you're going to select the category, mark off the accounts you'd like it to go to, and write your update here. So what I'd love for you to look at is this little drop down arrow next to the Save to Library button that allowed us to send now and save. Right underneath that is Schedule, Send, and Save. So if I click Schedule, Send, and Save, a box is going to pop up where I can put an exact day and time I want this post to go out on. So if I have this populated here, Edgar's going to hold this post out of the rotation. And the very first time he sends it is going to be when this day and time is reached. Edgar will send it out to the networks you have attached over here. If this is a post you want to keep in the rotation, like if you're adding maybe a blog post that's not published yet, but you have the link ready and you wanted to get it in Edgar, that's a great use case for this. You can pop the link in here, make sure you set the schedule time for after that blog post has been published. And the first time Edgar sends this will be on this day and time. He'll then put it to the end of the line in whatever category you've assigned it to, and it'll go back on your weekly repeating schedule. Or what a lot of people use this for is holiday posts. So if you're using this for a holiday post, make sure you use this advanced settings here. You mark it as a use once post, meaning once Edgar sends it out once, he'll automatically retire it. You'll then use this drop-down menu. Go ahead and populate your Happy New Year's, Happy Mother's Day, or your one-day promotion for Black Friday, whatever it is. Again, if this is populated, the first time Edgar sends this will be the day and time you put in here. If use once is checked off, Edgar will then expire it and he won't use it again. Use once posts will live in your library. There is a filter in your library here where you can always sort it to find use once posts. So again, if you'd want to use it again, you can always edit it and you can always go ahead and use it again in the future if you want. There's that use once filter there. The other option under advanced settings that we haven't chatted about yet is going to be the expire content feature. This is awesome if you do have content that maybe has a different blog post in it that doesn't make sense to send out in a month from now. If you place an expiration date here, Edgar will keep this post in the rotation of your posts until this day and time is reached, at which point he'll take it out of the rotation and he'll automatically expire it for you. So lots of really fun options there too. So I'm going to pop right back in here real quick and see if we have any questions. And then I'll go into a little bit with the analytics and history tab. And then we'll kind of wrap it up here. Abby, let's see. Cool, looks like Sarah got you there. Awesome, so I'm gonna go into the history tab, keep the questions coming, and we'll get those answered for you. In the history tab in Edgar, this is where Edgar's going to keep a list of everything he sends out. So the history tab here will show you the posts that are being sent out. And my favorite thing to use in the history tab is this all-time clicks filter. So this header, you can actually go ahead and click on it, and it's going to sort your posts from the ones that have received the most clicks down to the ones that have received the least clicks. And this is a gold mine for you to start to realize what times of day people are actually clicking on your links most. You can start to learn the habits of your people that way, so you can alter your schedule to make sure you're showing up when they're online, not when you're online. And you can start to see the categories that people are engaging with the most. Again, you don't want to be guessing all the time. You don't want to be reinventing new strategies all the time. You want to use this data to inform the bright spots, the stuff that people are really connecting and resonating with, so that you're then able to create more of that, because that's a signal they want to see more of that content for you. So if you're seeing a lot of clicks on something, pay attention to that. See the language you're using, see the type of content it is and the time of day, and start to notice these patterns. You can get really nitty gritty with this as well if you click on this View Performance History button. So when I click to view performance history right there, what happens is Edgar will also go ahead and graph out when those clicks occurred. So you can see on this graph, this is a post that we have that has a ton of variations that have been sent out to Twitter. So that's why the graph looks a little bit tight here. But this is awesome to see the times and the days that Edgar has actually been clicked on and which variation was clicked on. So this is awesome for things like your A/B testing, if you're using variations, to see what type of language every variation is using. And Edgar goes a little further if you scroll down here to show you the variation that got the most clicks. You can see this little thumbs up here versus the variation that got the least clicks. And he even gives you that call to action to go ahead and maybe edit this content, maybe go ahead and pay attention to which language or what time of day this number 12 variation was sent out here, and go ahead and see if maybe you can recreate some more variations in that same nature. The history tab is also a place that I suggest you come to, maybe leaving 5 minutes at the end of every day of your workday to batch out the engagement strategy of your social media posting. So come to your history tab here, and this little arrow next to the timestamp, if you click on this, it'll take you to the post right on the network, where you're able to see if there are any comments, if there are any likes, if there's anything that you need to respond to on these posts. And that way you're able to really show your community, hey, I'm showing up for you, I'm being consistent, and I want to hear from you. Because everything that the algorithms tell us these days is that consistent posting and consistent engagement and what they call meaningful engagement is what's going to give you the biggest reach on social media. And creating a community who wants to talk to you is going to be your biggest algorithm buster. It's going to be what is protecting you and future-proofing you no matter what changes these social networks make on us. And you know they love to change things up. If you have a community and a tribe who loves you and who wants to hear from you, and who has been commenting and liking all of your content, the community or the algorithm is going to continue showing them that content because they're engaging with it. So make sure you're asking questions of your community, you're going in there and you're following up with them and all of that fun stuff. One of the cool things about the way that Edgar does Instagram posting is actually really great for community building as well. So if you are using Edgar for Instagram, you do need to download our Instagram app onto your iOS device. And I'll go ahead and share that with you now in the chat if you don't have it. But what you're going to do is go ahead and download this app, and you're adding your Instagram content the exact same way that you're adding your content to Edgar for the others. You're scheduling it in the exact same way. Make sure Instagram does have that time slot connection to it. What's going to happen when one of your Instagram posts is ready is Edgar's going to send a notification to your phone, letting you know that that Instagram post is ready to send out. You're going to tap on that notification, at which point the text will automatically be copied to your phone's clipboard. The photo will automatically be added to your phone's camera roll. And all you have to do is tap to open Instagram, choose to post it to your story or to your feed, go ahead and filter the photo, tap in the text box to paste the text, and voila, you're done. And since you're already on Instagram at that point, we really encourage you to go and hang out in some hashtags. Use that explore feature to see what your community, what your audience persona is saying, the language that they're using. Go ahead and add a couple of valuable content. Since you're on there, maybe make it a point to add 2 comments to a post or to like 5 photos that are in your industry that your specific audience hangs out in, so that you're active on there and people aren't just wanting to see a feed that's just broadcasting things out. They want to see a feed that is really community oriented on Instagram. So make sure you're kind of shifting your mindset that the time you're spending on Instagram, and I know we all get distracted and want to spend fun time on Instagram, but when you get that little itch and that little urge to go onto Instagram, make sure you're doing it in a way that you're creating that community and using these notifications that are coming from Edgar to prompt your brain to say, okay, this is my engagement time with my community now. Guys, if you miss a notification that comes from Instagram, if you're driving or something, no worries, it'll still be there. Just tap the app and it'll go ahead and take you through that process. So really great way to do it. And if you guys are working on the Instagram specific strategy, MeetEdgar has an awesome bundle that I would love to go ahead and drop into the chat here. If you haven't downloaded this yet, our content creator, Maura, created this, and it is fantastic for kind of getting in a really great Instagram strategy. So if you're interested, that Google Drive link right there will take you to it. That is pretty much what we're going through here on Edgar today. I'd love to hear if the three of you here still have any questions that I haven't covered at all. Of course, feel free to email support@meetedgar.com at any time. We are more than happy to answer your questions. This link here is our Getting Started guide in our Help Center, which will take you through. But if you are just setting up your account, let me give you, again, some things to focus on so you don't get so overwhelmed, is adding your accounts, setting up your custom categories, adding 10 posts to each category, and placing that category on your schedule twice, and you're good for a month. You can then take some time to go in and see how your strategy is working, alter it, create new content, stuff like that. So it's truly kind of doing the math, having that strategy set out, and realizing that evergreen content and reposting is a really valuable strategy to use. So if you haven't done it before, definitely give it some time, take a patience for a month to see how awesome it is once that content starts to repeat, that people are still clicking on it. Because it's truly out of this idea that only about 10% of your community does ever see anything you post on social media. So if you're thinking about it, if you're sharing it only once, you're missing adding that value to your community. You're missing them completely. So make sure that you are adding those variations in and that you are giving everyone in your community time to see it. So that's a good strategy to take. Again, if you do have, yeah, I'm sorry, Abby, that is definitely just a recommendation for getting started. I definitely recommend adding as much content that you have to your Edgar library, but not getting overwhelmed at the beginning. You know, another kind of math, I'll put it in here, that we can recommend too is, you know, just doing the math for what works for you. You know, if you're sending out, say, 3 Instagram posts a week, if you do that math, that's needing to create 12 photos to add to Edgar. So go out and do your photo shoot. Go out and make your quotes. Go out and have your blog post cover photos made. And if you add 12 of those and you put 3 time slots on your weekly repeating schedule in Edgar, you're set for a month. So I just like to get people started out with that first month of content so that you don't feel so overwhelmed learning a new software. But again, there's so many little nuances that do make Edgar really powerful. Like you can do day-specific categories like Motivational Monday or Throwback Thursday and put that category only on those days, similar to how we were looking at how we do seasonal content to really, again, add that consistency, make it look like you're really creating and speaking to what's going on in the day. So as you're getting started out with your evergreen content, once you build up your library and get some solid content, start thinking about other ways you can use Edgar to really show up strongly for your community. All right, guys, so I'll stay on for a couple other minutes here. Definitely want to get any other questions answered. If you're popping into Edgar now and looking around, if there's anything unclear, let me know. Other than that, we do have office hours every single day. So if you guys, once you kind of get into Edgar, if you have more questions and you want to come back, this link right here will always have the updated schedule. We are playing around with different times of day that we're doing this. So definitely go ahead and pop in and check on the times of day. If you register for one and can't make it, I'll make sure to send you the replay as well. It's kind of this idea that if other people are asking questions, it's really great because you don't even know if you have that question sometimes. So we'd love to see you back here if you do have more questions. If you guys do have any feedback about the actual webinar today, about how these are run, we would also love to hear that, because when it comes down to it, we want to improve for the small business community, for all of you powerhouses out there creating all of this content. So go ahead and fill out the survey if you'd like here, and let us know again what else we can do to help. Cool, looks like that's it for questions. So thanks for joining today, and let us know if you have any other questions at support@meetedgar.com. Bye, guys.